What's going on, Washington fans? Welcome to Bleacher Report. I'm Josh Taylor, and on this video, I'm going to be talking about the trade deadline, which is tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern time. And if you remember last year, Washington was the splash of the trade deadline with not one, but two trades, sending away Montez Sweat and Chase Young. Can Washington be a team that makes noise again right before the deadline? And we've had a lot of chatter, a lot of intel from some insiders around the league mentioning Washington as a team has been looking at corners for a while now. It seems like that's the most talked about thing when it comes to the trade deadline of Washington, is that we've been shopping around for a corner. So I'll talk about some corner options, but then also James Jones from CBS Sports said on Saturday that Washington was also looking for wide receiver options, which I don't know how I feel about that. I'm kind of fine on wide receivers, but I did put one in here. I'll save it for the end because it's kind of a bomb. But also worth mentioning is Adam Schefter on Saturday. Saturday was a busy day for Washington Nuggets and Intel. Adam Schefter said that agents have been getting told by players, and this is something I've never heard of in my lifetime at 31 years old, that players are telling agents that they want to be traded to Washington before the trade deadline, which just blew my mind, honestly. It's just absurd to hear that players are saying that. We went from a poverty franchise that no one wanted to play for. We're signing scraps, and we're giving Albert Haynesworth every penny we have, and we've come a long ways, guys. And now we're 7-2, and we are in a good position. First time since 1996, by the way. We are just in a great position to attack this window of leading the NFC East right now. We have the Steelers, and then we start, getting back to the NFC East. We just swept the Giants. We'll have the Eagles on that Thursday night. Dak Prescott, we just heard breaking news. He's out for a while. Doesn't look like he'll even come to Washington on November 24th when we play them. So the NFC East is wide open. So it makes sense that Washington would be buyers at the trade deadline. Now, I did put one sell option in here because this is something I think is super likely. And I didn't want to go too off the rails, but I wanted to talk about some, actual valid options. One's kind of off the rails, but at the same time, it's not. So there's only one that's kind of crazy, but the other ones are actual things that could very well happen. And I want to start out with one that kind of got some help this morning, and that is the Saints trading, they would be trading Marshon Lattimore to us after firing Dennis Allen as head coach. Just a rough start. I mean, players are talking about, we just lost to the Panthers. I can't believe this. This is so bad, blah, blah, blah. The Panthers have broken the New Orleans Saints. And if you're a Washington fan, I said this yesterday, this is something I was really hoping for. Now, Marshon Lattimore, to me, isn't like the other corner options for a couple reasons. One, he's 28 years old. If you know, that's not that old right now. Like, we have guys balling in their 30s, and so I'm not worried about him being 28 years old. And people are like, oh, if he can stay healthy, blah, blah. That's just in general around the league. Like, I don't see injuries, like, unless he's currently injured and he's just coming back from one. Like, when it comes down to it, Devontae Adams, he healed up really quick when he got traded to the Jets. If I'm Marshon Lattimore and I know the Saints suck, I'm not concerned at all about getting out there. Appreciate y'all joining up in the chat right now. What's going on, Justin? The Saints are in one of the worst cap casualties into next season. They're projected to be about $60 million over next year. Just think about that. And we hear every offseason how the Saints make up some crazy, loopholes to get through the salary cap. Like, oh, the money that they paid to this player is kind of fake, and they're going to do this next year, and they're going to do this in the offseason. It's got to stop. They have to, at some point, they have to at some point figure out their salary cap. And now they're going to be having a new head coach. Obviously, whoever they have like they're promoting right now isn't going to be the head coach next year. So they have a lot to figure out. But salary cap wise, projected to be over $60 million next year. That's absurd. And shout out to Spot Track. I got these numbers this morning. The new team that would trade for Marshon Lattimore would take on only $605,000 for the rest of 2024, which pennies. And by the way, Washington still has the second most salary cap in the NFL this year and next year. We're projected to have a boat of cash going into free agency. And you would take on $18 million of his contract in 2025. That's fine. Okay. like, like guys like Ward, who's a really good corner, he's getting paid like 2021 a year. I'm gladly doing 18 mil a year. You can always restructure this. This is not guaranteed money, by the way. His contract is very favorable, and then in 2026, it would still only be $18.5 million. This is a guy that could be a solution, and here we'll put y'all's chats on the screen here. This is a guy that could be an upgrade for not just, obviously the rest of this season, but next year and maybe even 2026 as well. The contract, they already paid him, so you don't have to worry about that. The market resets every single offseason. The salary cap goes up every single offseason. $18 million a year is nothing. Can he stay healthy, Josh? I don't know. Can anyone stay healthy? Do you see the league this year? Do you see everybody that's hurt right now? Everybody. Like you can't sit here and say, I'm worried about him being hurt as a reason why you don't add him. To me, that's not a valid response. Unless he has like a torn ACL right now or something, that is not a valid response to saying like, Josh, I don't want this guy. You are first in the NFC East. You are rolling through things right now. But at the same time, you can't let what happened against the Ravens happen. You can't let what happened in the second half of that Giants game happen. There was no reason for them to hang around the way they did. And if you look at like statistically and the stats and stuff like that, it shows that Washington's passing defense actually isn't that bad. But when it comes down to it, can you upgrade the position? Can you upgrade Ben St-Juste, who when he's good, he's good. When he's when he's trusting his instinct, when he's pass protect, like when he's actually pass defending the way he should, then he's great. But the thing is, he's so inconsistent. He's so handsy. Like, it makes me so mad because he has such a good build for a corner. Such a good build for a corner. But he just doesn't trust his instinct enough to not get these interferences and stuff. And there's times where he is getting burnt. It's not all the time. It's not on the level of Forbes. But I think Marshon Lattimore is one that you seriously have to think about. You have to think about it because it's a corner of this caliber. I'm not saying he is who he was 3 years ago, but still, he's actually been really solid this year. Oh, we just had a trade, breaking news, not in Washington, but this is why we're doing the stream right now, because it's nitty-gritty time. The Broncos are sending edge Baron Browning to the Cardinals, per sources, says Tom Pelissero. If anything happens, guys, I have my notifications on. I'm going to let y'all know. But it doesn't happen often that a caliber corner of Marshon Lattimore comes to the market. But you have to look at these teams like the Saints, who are in a terrible salary cap situation, like I already mentioned. They have a ton of things going on there, a lot of new changes. It's not good when your leaders are talking trash like after games and stuff like that. The Saints are in a terrible situation. So honestly, he would be like my number one. He would be my number one right now. He would start outside. This allows you to put Mikey Samerstill. He's been really good on the outside, by the way. He is more natural on the inside, but it would allow you to put him back inside. John Keim said this on Twitter not too long ago, like a few days ago. Someone said, hey, John, do you think Samerstill is a guy that they will keep on the outside? And he said, no, they want to bring him back on the inside. They just can't do it right now. They can't do it. And if people are saying like, oh, we should have done this in the offseason, we should have done this offseason. We did draft Samerstill. Like the corner market wasn't like all of that, to be honest with you, in free agency. We signed a lot of players in free agency. And they're actually pretty much all of them are playing super well right now. The secondary did get better, adding guys like Jeremy Chin and adding guys like Mikey Samerstill in the draft. You can only do so much, guys. We knew it wasn't going to be just a one-off season clean sweep. The team's perfect. But we were way ahead of schedule. And this is another opportunity. And this is why Washington, and shout out to Adam Peters for doing his due diligence. Even if a trade doesn't happen, because it is so hard to get these trades happen in the NFL, guys. It is so hard for these things to happen because jobs are on the line. If you make a trade, doesn't work out, or you look stupid afterwards, you're the one they're looking at like, why did you do this? You're our GM. You got to get out of here. So don't be mad at me if we don't make any trades. But this is what I feel like is the most reasonable trade options. I'm going to go through. I have 6 total. Marshon Lattimore was the first. Let's go to Greg Newsome as the next one. And I like Greg Newsome. I'm not sure why his helmet always looks like it's so big on his head. Every picture I've seen, it looks like that. But I like Newsome because he's young. And you can send me all these graphs and all these stats like, oh, Josh, he hasn't been good this year. That team sucks. The Browns are terrible. Let's see. DC Command Justin said, Josh, if Browns packed Myles Garrett and Newsome together, would you make a deal? Of course I would. But Myles Garrett is not available. I'm not going to act like I have sources, anything like this, but I do have someone I know in Cleveland. If y'all know, I said this in offseason. Washington called and asked about Newsome in the offseason. It just didn't happen. And he told me like 4 days ago, they were very willing to move on from Newsome if they got the right pick, and it makes sense. And then Albert Breer put out his article last night about 16 hours ago, I want to say, saying, once again, confirming what I heard, that Newsome is now available if they get the right pick, and so is David Njoku, which is crazy. But Myles Garrett is obviously not available. You're not going to get Myles Garrett. So don't even ask about that. But Greg Newsome is a guy who is available, and he can play inside, and he can play outside. And like I said, guys, people saying like, oh, he hasn't been good this season. He hasn't been that this season. Yeah, he hasn't been terrible, but like I said, the whole team is so bad. The whole team quit when Deshaun Watson was on the field. And you can tell it instantly got better. Not saying that they're a good team all of a sudden when Jameis Winston, got on the field. But he's only 24 years old. This is his first bad season of his career. They picked up his 5th-year option, so he needs to get paid. They already paid Ward. Like I said, he's getting 21 mil a year. And then Emerson, another guy they drafted who's really good, he needs to get an extension this offseason as well. They cannot afford all 3 of these guys to be making like top dollars of what they deserve, like the top of what they should be getting paid. They can't afford it. They cannot afford it. And then you have Deshaun Watson, who better not take another snap under center as a Cleveland Brown, getting like 70 mil guaranteed a year. 70. Guys, that is the worst contract in sports history. They cannot afford to pay Newsome. They can't. Von Lee says, is he a true cornerback 1, though? He has shown at times. I mean, of course, yeah, Denzel Ward is. Denzel Ward absolutely is. He has shown at times that he can be a really good outside corner. My thing is, though, wouldn't you agree we need 2 corners on the outside? If Sammer still stays in the nickel, and he can play outside too, would y'all agree that we need 2 corners? Or am I just delusional? Like, we're going to start. Noah Monogany, by the way, has been really good this season. Like, shout out to him. As a guy who I had no expectations for, he's actually been really good this year. But we need a true CB1. Von Lee, I agree with you. We do. Could he be that guy? I don't know. But he's 24 years old. There's guys, and he's been in the league for how long? They just picked up his 5th-year option. He's 24 years old. There's guys coming into the draft that are 24 years old right now. So in my opinion, like I said, he can play inside. He can play outside. But he needs to get paid. And the Browns can't do it. They're stuck. They are absolutely stuck. They dug themselves in this hole. They thought they had some window and Deshaun Watson was going to take them to the promised land, but it's not going to happen. I'm glad that y'all agree. Even Kill Fresh 28 says we need 2 corners. I'm glad y'all agree. Just thinking about long term, guys. We have Jaden Daniels on a rookie contract. I don't want to sound too cocky, guys. We're set for 4 or 5 years. We are set for 4 or 5 years when it comes to paying big money, throwing draft picks around and stuff like that. Guys, we are set for a while. This feels damn good. We can afford to take a swing on a 24-year-old corner with a lot of promise who's actually been really solid in his career. The Browns just draft really good corners. They don't miss. Like I said, with Ward, and then Emerson has been really good for them, and then same with Newsome. I would take it. 24 years old. This is his first down year, bad year, whatever you want to call it, in his career. And he's just had his 5th-year option picked up. I'm fine with it. I don't see why people wouldn't want him. I think it would be an upgrade over St. Just. I think it would be an upgrade over Noah Igbenogany. That's the question you have to ask yourself. Are you getting better with this trade? I find it really hard to say no. And I'm willing to listen if you say no. But I don't know. To me, they get better. Now let me go for a trade before I jump back. Honestly, a lot of these are corners because that's what Washington is getting linked to the most. I could throw out, edge rushers. It sounds like Smith from the Browns is going to be going to the Lions. Adam Schefter said he thinks it's going to happen either today or tomorrow. That's a guy that was kind of linked to Washington. I don't think they're going to be looking for an outside guy, because if you are, it's like Clowney or Zadarius Smith or just one of those like 1-year guys. Dante Fowler's been balling. People are talking. Jordan Schultz is saying that he should be a Pro Bowl guy this year. He's balling. Dorrance Armstrong's playing really well. Clelin Ferrell, when he's healthy, he's been playing well. He just needs to get to the quarterback a little bit more, but he's creating pressures and stuff like that. So from an edge standpoint, I didn't put any edges in here because I just don't see, like, do you really want to go get Clowney? Would you want Zadarius Smith? And I'm not saying Zadarius Smith is bad. I think, he can get you production, but how many guys are you going to rotate on the outside? How many guys are you going to rotate on the outside? So for me, I didn't put any edges on here, but I'll do some honorable mentions at the end, a couple other wide receivers. But let's go to the sold. And for me, like, the writing is on the wall. Emanuel Forbes, it would not surprise me at all if he gets traded. Would not surprise me at all. What would it be for? I mean, he's a first-round pick. Teams are going to be willing to at least take a fly on him. Like, even if it's like a 6th-round pick, I would do it. This is a guy who has been a healthy scratch against the Ravens. This is a guy that has, when he's active, he's not on the field. He had the 1 interception against the Panthers, and we have not seen him since. Guys, he did not register a snap this Sunday, and I don't think he did the Sunday before either. Being a healthy scratch or being active and not even on the field, like, the writing's on the wall. We saw what happened with Jamin Davis. He got released for nothing. If a team calls and says, Adam Peters, I'm willing to give you a 5th, 6th for Forbes, I'd say yes. Aaron Nunn said Forbes for a crisp high 5. Hey, a crisp high 5 can fix a lot of things, man. But like, just seeing what people are going for. Deontay Johnson was a pick swap. They literally like moved up 18 spots in the draft to trade Deontay Johnson. So I would not think it'd be for 5th or 6th. Like, if it's a 7th-round pick, I'd be like, okay, he's not going to be here next year. Like, he's not going to be here next year. I don't see it. I'd rather keep St. Just as depth. I think, God, how long have we had St. Just? I want to say he has like 1-2 years left on his deal from when we drafted him. Maybe it's like 1. Noah Igbenogany, he's shown that he can be a solid guy. Like, I'd fine keeping both of those guys for as depth. That's fine. But if he's going to be inactive or he's going to not even register a snap in games, even if you're starting the phone conversations, hey, do y'all want Forbes? And I hate to say it because I had high hopes for him. I'm not even going to mention Christian Gonzalez. Like, I'm over it. Like, this was the former regime's pick. Does he belong here? I don't see it. I just don't see it. Now's the time to trade him. I mean, worst, like what are you going to just release him in the offseason? To me, it just makes no sense. Might as well trade him, even if it's for nothing. Get it done. He's super young. Some team's going to take a fly on him because he's a corner. It's not like he's like a tight end or like a, I don't know, outside linebacker / DN hybrid like Jamin Davis, where you can just release him and he doesn't go, get picked up for a long time. It's a corner. Teams are going to want to at least take a swing on him. He was a 1st-round pick. He had a lot of production in college. Like I said, he had that interception against the Panthers. Hell, maybe that registered a 7th-round pick. If so, we appreciate it. But now let's go to one that's been linked to us for a while. We did get an update on this guy from Albert Breer in that article I was telling you about, and that was Jonathan Jones. And a lot of people like, Josh, like, It's Jonathan Jones. It doesn't move the needle for me. I'm just saying this guy is not a liability when he's on the field. He's 31 years old. I get it. But this is, once again, another guy where you'd be trading like a 7th-round pick for him. Like, this is a this year guy. Could he be here next year? Sure. Not saying he wouldn't be. But I'm just saying that we know what the rest of the stretch looks like. We're going to be playing good offenses. We got the Eagles twice. We got them Thursday, 2 weeks in Philly, and then they got to come to Washington in, was it December? We got some good offenses we have to face. Cowboys offense looks like it's hurting now. But then, like, even if just thinking long term, like the playoffs, you cannot afford to face a team like the Vikings, Packers, Lions. God, we got to face the Lions with the corners we have. Y'all, I'm not feeling good about that matchup. I'm not feeling good about it. Even if it is the slightest upgrade, you have to do it. And it's no shade at Jonathan Jones. Like, once again, he's actually been a solid guy. This is a respected guy around the league. So much that Albert Breer came out and put in his article that he doesn't think that the Patriots would want to trade him, even if as bad as they are, even with his age, like even with their record and everything, because he's just so much of a leader on that team. Like, they just respect him that much. They want to keep him. Now you're like, for what? They're not really playing for anything. I get it. But that just shows you, like, even these smaller name guys that aren't, Marshon Lattimore, aren't like Tre'Davious White, who I'm going to talk about. Even if they are just a smaller name, he's good. Like, he's a solid guy. Like, I would be fine with it. Once again, I'm not going to like pop champagne and, like if it's Marshon Lattimore, like, I'm going to light a cigar. I'm going to go outside and just enjoy the day. But Jonathan Jones, I'm like, all right, you know what? I respect it. The team thinks we can get better at corner. They went ahead and added someone who's really solid, who can be a vocal guy on the defense, communicate with the secondary. Do y'all think St. Juice and Noah Igbenogany is communicating with people? Do you think they are on the level of veteran leadership and just, I don't want to say maturity, it's not character-wise, but like on-field maturity, like reps? And I mean, they're both, St. Juice is a little bit older, but Noah's still super young. I'm just saying, Jonathan Jones makes your secondary better. And you're going to face some good teams now in a few weeks and in the playoffs if that's what you're going for. And of course you are. You're 7-2. You're leading the NFC East. The window's there. Like, we're way ahead of schedule. I'm just saying this, something that people haven't talked about enough. Adam Peters came from San Francisco. He knows what that window was like. He knows what that window is like. He's been aggressive when he's had to. He has went and got Christian McCaffrey. He has lost that Super Bowl. He's been right there so many times, guys. He knows what this league is like. Adam Peters knows what this league is like. He's not going to just be like, all right, guys, we're going to just go with the team we have. If we can get better, we're going to do it. That's the mindset that he has as a GM, and I respect it. Now, is he going to sell everything and like overpay for somebody? No, he didn't do it for Ayuk. There's been a couple other names that kind of pop up here and there where, Washington could have had some interest in some of these guys. Amari Cooper, Deontay Johnson, D-Hop. Like, Washington could have easily done all that. Now, we didn't. But when it comes down to it, Washington's been linked to corners way more heavily than anything else. So Jonathan Jones, I would be all for it. I'm not going to lie. Now, one that I do not want. So I've talked about Marshon Lattimore from the Saints. Would love it. Greg Newsome from the Browns. Would love it too. Those are the two big ones. Finally, I agree with you. Lattimore and Newsome move the needle for me. Those two do. Jonathan Jones moves the needle just a little bit for me because I feel more comfortable in these situations. Like, if we had him out there against the Ravens, maybe we aren't giving up some of these big plays. Maybe we're not. One that does not move the needle for me, and it might move it backwards, and I hate to say it, is Tre'Davious White. Former All-Pro on the Bills, had a lot of significant injuries and missed a lot of time. Now he's on the Rams. This is a guy, if I had to guess, this is easily one of the guys that told his agent, I want to go to Washington. 1,000,000% he's one of those players. If there's players telling their agent, I want to go to Washington, Tre'Davious White is one of them. Why? Because he doesn't want to be in LA. He's not playing a lot. When he was on the field so far this season, it wasn't good. He's been banged up this year too, but it's been very vocal, and we've seen it come out that McVay even said, like, hey, obviously we want him here, but we also want to do right for him. If he wants to go somewhere, he wants to go somewhere. Like, we can't really help that. So, in my opinion, Tre'Davious White was 1,000,000% one of the players saying, I want to go to Washington. I want to play under that team. They're 7-2. They're really good. They need help at corner. I know I could play. I know I could get a lot of reps. And Dan Quinn, I love him. I love that defensive scheme. I could fit right in. But I don't want him. I'm with you, Vonleh. I don't want him. He's a good vet, but I just feel like he is washed with all the injuries he's had. He's 29 years old. Like I said, still not old, but all the wear and tear that he's gone through. This isn't the Tre'Davious White from the Bills. If this was 2-3 years ago, I'd be like, heck yes, bring him here. That is a lockdown corner because he's been so good his whole career. I'm not going to discredit him. But like right now, if it comes back and we trade like a, I don't know, 6 or something for him, I'm like, okay. The upside is there to the point where I'm like, I don't care if we lose a 6, If it comes down to it, like, fine. He has upside enough to where if he's healthy, if he's playing well, he fits the scheme well, they think he fits well, I trust it, cool. But just like right now from an outside perspective, it does not move the needle for me. Their secondary, in my opinion, got better, the Rams, once he was off the field because it was really bad to start. Really bad. And it's still not the best, but they're starting to get some turnovers and stuff like that. But it just doesn't do enough for me. Some people still want them. I don't know. I'm not with it. Now, let's see. I've gone over Marshon Lattimore. We talked about Newsome. Talked about Forbes getting traded, Jonathan Jones, Tre'Davious White, and I have my big bomb, which probably isn't going to happen, but I'm going to talk about it because it makes sense to a certain extent. And then, like I said, I have some honorable mentions when it comes down to CeeDee Lamb's shoulder is hurt too. Probably not going to be too bad. AC joint sprained. Not expected to be long-term. Dax is expected to be long-term. Dax is cooked. The Cowboys are cooked. And this is why we should swing on T. Higgins. And I know what you're going to say, Josh, is not going to happen. I will admit there's a 5% chance this happens. But I'm still going to talk about it because it makes sense. Think about this, guys. Go back to this offseason. I never in my life would have guessed T. Higgins with Jamar Chase on the other side of the field, with Joe Burrow throwing the ball, with all the success they've had in the division, in the AFC. He said, I want to be traded. You're not paying me. I want to be traded. T. Higgins officially requested a trade this offseason, y'all. Like, that doesn't go on. Like, that is not a light thing. You can be disgruntled. You can be upset. You can want to get paid. But to say, guys, I want to get traded. I'm sick of this. I'm not happy with this contract situation. I want to get paid because I see all these other wide receivers getting paid. I don't want to get hurt. Like, I saw what happened to Justin Jefferson. Like, he got hurt last year. Luckily, like, all the contract stuff is fine because Justin Jefferson's the best in the league. But T. Higgins, y'all, and people are like, Josh, wait till the offseason. He can come here in free agency. And I get it. Maybe, and like I said, very unlikely. Maybe he's one of the players that would say, I would go to Washington. If I'm to be traded because I still haven't been paid yet, I requested a trade this offseason. He is 25 years old. He has some of the most reliable hands in the NFL, by the way. This guy is a sure-handed wide receiver. And people are like, oh, Josh, he's hurt right now. He's been banged up all season. Has he? Has he really been? He looked fine to me. Like I said, Devontae Adams, he healed up real quick when he got traded. He healed up very quickly. That's all I'm going to say. If I requested a trade, I'm going to be banged up throughout the season too. You're not going to be getting 100% on me, especially as bad of a start as the Bengals have had. They've had their injuries as well. They're banged up. But y'all, 25 years old, requested a trade. He deserves to be paid. We have the money to pay him. Terry's like already been paid his big deal. Like, guys, we have so much money. I know. Wait till the offseason. And I get it. I'm fine with that. But just think about it. If it was like a second round pick, just I don't know what it would be, but just say it is. Or like a third. Would you do it? Just some more Broncos news. Not worried about that. Looking out for some trades. Would you do it? If you said, Josh, you get him for the rest of this season, you get him for that stretch, and then you get him in the playoffs. Guys, could you imagine going into the playoffs with Terry McLaurin and T. Higgins? Are you kidding me? You think Jaden Daniels is a MVP guy right now? Bro. First off, this draft sucks coming up. I hate to be the one to tell y'all this draft is not good. I know you can find good guys along the way, but this is a star wide receiver. Can we draft Luther Burden in the late 20s? Or if we go on some run in the playoffs, like who knows? Could you draft one of these guys? You might like Trey Harris. Like I'm not saying I hate this wide receiver class, but overall, this draft, and GMs have been talking about it. Even Jim Nagy, the head guy for the Senior Bowl, has said this draft is not good. People in the league aren't impressed with this draft. I am trading that third-round pick. That third-round pick could be absolutely nothing for you. How many holes do we really have on this team? We have all this free agency money that we're going to be able to spend, like I said, in free agency to bring in some more guys. And we have a ton of draft picks. How many holes do we really have on this team? Offensive line's performing super well. We needed 2 new corners. We need another wide receiver. Probably another like legit top edge rusher. Maybe another D tackle like depth-wise. Because who knows what happens with Allen. How many holes do we really genuinely have that we need to get like starters for? I think I just named them all. That's it. You have all this money. You have all these draft picks. You're gonna draft some guy in the third, and you're like, all right, he'll get some playing time, whatever. He's not gonna be T. Higgins. Like we'll have Terry for what 2-3 more years. We'll have T. Higgins for 5, 6, 7, however long he wants to be here. This is a long-term solution. Like I get it. You don't want to trade a pick right now. You want to wait till the offseason. You want to be patient. But why not swing for the fences? If you have a chance to win the NFC East, you have a chance to win the NFC, make a run in the playoffs. T. Higgins takes you over that hump big time. Look at how much production Jaden Daniels has gotten out of Noah Brown, Olamide Zaccheaus. Even guys like Austin Eckler out of the backfield. Luke McCaffrey, it's coming. But just look at the production he's gotten out of guys not named Terry McLaurin. It's been good. T. Higgins would feast here. He would absolutely love to be here. Absolutely. Now he has to change his number. We're going to figure that out for him. But guys, I get it. I understand the argument of waiting until the offseason, but why not now? With all the injuries, and this is thinking way big, I get it. Why not say, guys, we can actually make a run in the playoffs. Look at all the injuries in the league right now. Look at how bad some of these top teams are. Honestly, the only team in the NFC where I'm like, man, that's going to be really hard. That's not who I want to play. Is like the Lions. Vikings, I think we could give them a shot. I think the Vikings are a little bit better than us. Packers, if Love's always hurt now too. Like I'm telling y'all, there is a real shot. We got to show up against the Eagles. Obviously, we got to worry about the NFC East first, then the NFC, then the playoffs. But this is what the trade deadline is for. Can you make a move that's going to help you out the rest of this season? And T. Higgins would be just a massive bomb. Now, do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely not. I mean, I'm going to tell y'all. Absolutely not. But it is one that is worth thinking about. That's why I call this Washington Commanders trade ideas. Because he wants to be traded. He wants to be paid. Make it happen, man. I'm just saying, I would absolutely love it. So I went through corners, talking about Marshon Lattimore from the Saints, talked about Greg Newsome from the Browns, talked about Tre'Davious White on the Rams, Jonathan Jones on the Patriots. And I talked about trading away Emanuel Forbes, and then also T. Higgins would be a massive bomb. Azeez Al-Jawari would be amazing. First off, whoever gets him, their defense is going to be even better. Denzel Ward is not for sale. 1,000,000% not for sale, unless you're trading like a first-round pick or something. But a lot of people have said they're not looking to move him. Same with J.C. Horn, not available. That's been, talked about a bunch and backed up a bunch as well. J.C. Horn's not available. So there's a lot of players out there that people kind of throw names out at me and stuff like that. You can't buy a house that's not for sale. And I get it. If you can overpay, then maybe there's a shot. But Adam Peters is not going to overpay anything. He had a chance to get Brandon Ayuk, and he was not willing to overpay that. So you think he's going to do that for J.C. Horn? You think he's going to do that for Denzel Ward? Now, if it's like a superstar like Max Crosby or Myles Garrett or someone, duh. Yeah, I think he would at least think about it. But those guys are not for sale. And I think that's something that I've been reading more and more about from Diana Rossini, from Albert Breer, from Adam Schefter, from James Jones from CBS Sports. Like, people, now that's getting down to the stretch, the nitty gritty, they're starting to say these are the guys available. And some other like honorable mentions, Adam Thielen, wide receiver from the Panthers. Does he move the needle for me? Like, when he's good, he's good. But I think he's on this, second part of the hill. KJ Osborne is another one that's been talked about. There's a couple like smaller name wide receivers. I just don't see Washington like just bringing in another one of those kind of smaller guys. Now, it worked out for Noah Brown. I think Noah Brown was one that I was excited about because I saw what he did for that Texans offense last year. And I'm telling y'all right now, the Houston Texans wish they still had Noah Brown right now, especially with Stephon Diggs out for the season. Like, would Washington entertain bringing in an Adam Thielen or a KJ Osborne? Like, I could see it, but I just don't think it'd be worth it for them. Like, does Adam Thielen help you out down the stretch down the playoffs? Maybe. I don't know. I'm going to trust Adam with that one. Like I said, there's a couple other DNs and stuff like that people mentioned, like Jadeveon Clowney, Zadarius Smith, who I mentioned is probably likely going to the Lions. Adam Schefter said that this morning. He said he expects it to happen either today or tomorrow, but he thinks that Smith goes to the Lions. That's someone that we've kind of been linked to. But I don't think we add an edge rusher. If we trade, like, honestly, I think it's like one trade. And if I had to really list it out, it's moved. My percentage. I did a corner only video like 2 days ago, and my percentage has changed drastically because I thought Jonathan Jones was a big time option, but it sounds like the Patriots really do want to keep him because like I said, they're going to get a seventh for him. Is it really worth all that to trade him away? No. I'm going to say Newsome 60% chance, Lattimore 40% chance of like players to get. Tre'Davious White. I just don't even want to think about Tre'Davious White, honestly. Like, I could see it. I'm telling y'all, he had to be one of the guys that said, I want to go to Washington. I want playing time. I want to be a starter on that defense. I want, Dan Quinn, Joe Witt's defense. I could absolutely see it, but it's not going to excite me. And then Forbes, I'm going to give that a 60% chance. Someone's going to call on Tuesday, 1 o'clock, like, hey, we'll give you a 6 for Forbes. I'm like, all right, deal, take it. Or 7th. Like, they're like, okay, that's fine. But I appreciate y'all coming on in the stream and jumping in the chat, giving your thoughts. Do I think a trade happens? I do. I think one thing will happen. It might not be the giant splash everyone's waiting for. But if something does happen, I got y'all covered. I'm going to go live and talk about it. Snead. I mean, I would obviously love Snead. God, the Titans are bad this year, and they just lost 2 key guys. I just don't know what that contract looks like. Like, would it even be worth them eating the salary cap and everything? But yeah, I mean, I wanted Snead this past off season. But I just don't know what his contract looked like to where if they're paying a lot of money or we would have to pick it all up or what that even looks like. But I'll take a look at that this afternoon. Like I said, if anything comes up, y'all know I'm going to go live and talk about it. So appreciate y'all hopping on here, giving your thoughts. We are coming down to the nitty gritty. It's 1:39 Central Time here, and I'm in Texas. So 4 o'clock tomorrow Eastern Time is the deadline. We will keep our eyes and ears open on everything Our luck, we're going to get some random 1 a.m. notification of something happens. So, but if it does, I got y'all. So I appreciate y'all coming by the stream, and I'll see y'all next time here on Bleach Report. Peace.